July 18th, 2018. Here we are down at the apple tree that I've been restoring for, I guess, about 5 years now, might be 4. This is all covered in rose bushes. Initially, I cleaned all the rose bushes off it and all the trees around it. I trimmed and cleaned and really did a lot of work to get it more light and air. And then I started doing foliar feeds, and I've been doing foliar feeds. I was trying to be targeted about them, but my familiarity with specifically apple crops and especially perennial large tree fruit crops, my area of knowledge is not as good there. However, I did hear a podcast from Advancing Eco Agriculture this spring. Caught it just in time to catch one of the things about critical points of influence for perennial crops. That podcast was specifically relating to stone fruits. I'll put a link in the description to that podcast here because it's an excellent podcast on perennial crops, tree fruits, all that kind of stuff. Well, they did discuss apples a little bit in that podcast as well, and they were talking about the cell division phase early on in the season when flowers are setting, and how excess or extra calcium and a few other critical feeds can really help enhance the plant's growth. And so I came out here and caught them with the foliar feed that night. I also did do some pruning on this last year, so the tree has a little less upper canopy to support, and I'm sure that helped influence a little better root growth. But what I came down here to show you was that this tree is filling lots of fruit all over it, and even though it's filling fruit, there's all kinds of new growth coming out here. So this is another sign of a plant or tree that has a tremendous amount of energy, so much so that it's able to fill fruit and still grow new shoots out. And boy, I probably can't get into the science of this real well because I'm not that familiar, but the effect that you have on, say, an apple tree this year, the effect that you have as it's setting flower has a tremendous influence on what type of wood and what type of nodes and buds it sets up for the following growing season. So my intent was to try and increase yield, of course, this year, but more targeted at next year with some targeted foliar feeds. Since that, I try to come down here every couple weeks and give it even just a light foliar feed just to help keep it rocking and rolling. But I just wanted to share this tree with you and get another time-lapse clip of it, so to speak. But again, I'll just point out all sorts of new growth, all sorts of new shoots all over the place. And as you can see, there's quite a number of apples on this tree as well. And they're kind of camoed in right now because they're green. But if you look closely, I'm sure you can see that this tree has quite a fruit load on it. And it's having no trouble producing enough energy to cover that and develop new shoots. And hopefully next year we'll have an even crazier fruit load and a healthier tree. This tree has kind of been my opportunity to learn about apple trees, and as I learn about apple trees, go out and actually test and practice that so I can get better at apples, because eventually I'd like to add an orchard to my operation. But it's no small operation to plant and maintain an orchard, and then you have to maintain it long enough to get a crop from it to help start paying back the upfront costs. So I really want to get dialed in on apple trees before I dive in, so to speak. Alright, that's all. I just wanted to share this with my viewers. Thanks for watching the Farmacy Seeds Network. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.